It says that this caused, it says they changed their mind. I don't know if that means that they didn't come, the poultry plant didn't come, and this caused the water bills to go up. And how do you plan to help our citizens with this problem?
Okay, and you said the key word, they changed their mind.
That's what it says.
You know, wasn't anything the city did. The city did everything. They tried to get everything ready for Claxton. But I think the rationale that they gave was that they had a big fire in Claxton, and consequently that plant had to be brought back up to speed and renovated, so they weren't able to have the funds to bring it to Waycross at that time, and it looked like they're still not going to come. I don't believe they'll be here. But we had made an extensive upgrade to our treatment plant to accommodate Claxton, because based on their calculations, our treatment plant didn't have enough load to carry what they were going to be producing. So we were trying to be proactive. We were trying to do the right thing as city council members, as Commissioner Hopkins alluded to, being stewards and trying to do the right thing to get jobs into the city of Waycross. But as you said, they changed their mind.
So I guess the last part of this question is, how do you plan, or will you plan to do anything to help citizens with an increase in their water bill as a result of the...
Right. I would hope that we wouldn't have to increase the water bills. I was talking with the finance director at the city, and what I was trying to inquire as to the bonds that's outstanding right now with the city of Waycross. The city have a lot of tight municipal bonds or bonding for financing certain projects. And it's just like in your home. Whenever you pay off something, i.e. say you pay off your car, and you allocate $500 a month for that. Well, when you pay that car off, then you really have a surplus of $500. If the city of Waycross, whenever they pay off a lot of these bonds, and we're talking about millions of dollars, then this may be a time that the city council needs to look at maybe giving a rebate or reduction in the water, because all these things were tied to their water bills to upgrade these upgrade the treatment plant. So if you can reduce your debt ratio, then you will have more in your income, so then that income should be passed back to the citizens of Waycross.
Thank you. And
let me ask this. The first two parts were pretty much specific, man. I think Ms. First got a lot of time on that. Would you please ask the third part to
Mr. Billups?
Mr. Billups?
Sure.
Because I think that's more of a general question that should be asked of both candidates.
Okay, and I'll try to restate it again. Because of the agenda to try to bring Claxton, this has caused water bills to go up for all of the citizens. So, Mr. Billups, how do you plan to help citizens with this problem?
I think the citizens, in particular those here this evening, certainly should know it. Of course, the city commission did so quite correctly, maybe less than a year ago. There was a decrease in the water bills for many people. There's no question regarding that. What we have not, and Commissioner Hopkins again alluded to this early on in her statement, and she was one, and I respect her vote on it. We've not had an increase in property taxes at all. We haven't had an increase in yard, as well as we did have an increase 2 years ago in yard trash pickup, as well as the water sewer. But just less than 8 months ago, there has been an increase in the water sewer. The water bill, particularly. People, and I know they recognize that. They have to recognize it.
Okay, and this last question is for both candidates. Mr. Burrs, what are your views of cleaning up the inner city of Waycross? And this includes vacant buildings, houses, and roads.
My views on cleaning up the inner city, if you allow me to use that term, of Waycross, is first of all, we have a code department, I think, that's aggressively pursuing, trying to eradicate blighted areas in our community, abandoned houses. And the problem that we run into a lot of times, even when I was on the city council, that problem continues to today. It's not as easy as you think it is to go and just tear down a house. It's not that easy, because you got a lot of legalism in it, you got a lot of legal hurdles you got to jump over. And sometimes if you don't do the right thing, then it comes back to bite the city. Where they were trying to do a good deed and try to get rid of this blighted property, it ends up costing the city of Waycross. When it costs the city of Waycross, it's costing the citizens of the city of Waycross. So what we need to do is really, even in our own communities, we need to start trying to police our own communities or you got abandoned houses and you know the people that own those houses, you can help the city of Waycross out by letting them know who owns this house, you know. Because one thing about it, when you have these abandoned houses, they breed all types of bad elements, you know, from, you know, drug addicts, you know, people going in doing all types of things in these houses. And this is a detriment to any neighborhood. So we need to try to just make ourselves ambassadors of one. Because this is our community. We all live here. And sometimes if it's not impacting you directly, it will impact you indirectly.
And Mr. Phillips, same question.
I totally, again, concur with my opponent. And we have, in my opinion, and of course, I think it's the opinion of many, we have one of the very best code departments. And we have some of the very best codes on the books. And I ran the first time economic development as well as fighting blight in our community. We were working toward that. As former Commissioner first stated, it is so difficult to just get anyone to move on some of this blight we have in Waycross, to be very honest with you, because of the legal hurdles that you got to jump through. We have some property right now on the north side of Bailey Street. We're looking at, been trying to do something about that property for a number of years. And we still just cannot make headway, quite frankly. Many of these other properties, and it costs a lot when you go and take a property down. When you're taking a property down, it does cost. Because we have some old facilities here, really old buildings. And when you start talking about taking them down and making about all of the asbestos in there, asbestos abatement you got to do to those facilities, it really costs money. We aren't going to spend the taxpayers' money for it.
Okay, I'd like to interject the panel just a moment. We're running out of time. We've got about 20 minutes, but I would like y'all to, whatever the next question is, fine, but then limit it to 3 more questions, and that's, especially if both candidates have to answer, and then we'll have time for the closing remarks.
From the audience, I have a question for both. What is your position on the alcohol referendum? Mr. Burrs. Go first, please.
You know, let me follow up that by saying, you know, and this came down really from the state level. In other words, and you know, a lot of times the buck stops with local government. You know, and a lot of times, you know, these things are put onto the citizen, and you know, the city commission agreed to allow it to come before the voters to vote on this. Now, personally, I vote no. If this law is passed or this referendum passes, we have no other choice but to allow the citizens to do as the referendum is stated. Because they have a right, you know, if it's voted on by the majority of the people to allow Sunday alcohol sales and serving of alcohol on Sundays, so be it. But you asked me, how do I feel about it? I voted no against it.
Personally, I felt that the referendum itself, once it passed the legislature, should be offered to the voters. And that's what we decided. We had some really long conversations that the city commission did. That's what we decided. Put it on there now. Because if we didn't put it on now, it was going to be on the next year sometime, perhaps. And yeah, I support that. I really did. I also support the right. It is the right of people to vote. If you ask me personally how I vote, wait next week when I cast my vote.
This is my last question for both, coming from the audience. Do you feel that the forum needs to be prior to the early voting day? This forum.
This is one.
Mr. Burns.
So I think it needs to be prior.
To the early voting day.
I don't think there's any problem with having it prior to the early voting date because way people that maybe have already voted, maybe it's something that they find out later on after this debate takes place. They say, well, you know, maybe if I had known that, maybe I would have voted differently. So I think it's good to have it, you know, before the early vote.
I think, yes, I think it will benefit the community better, much better, in my opinion. I think, and I certainly do appreciate the NAACP people as well as the Waycross Ware County Chamber of Commerce for hosting this evening. But of course, I think it should have been early, and I think, yes, it certainly should occur prior to early voting.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have one final question? Are we down for the last question or not?
No question.
No further questions? Okay.
Last question. It's already been asked. It has?
Go ahead. Take that.
The question for both candidates. Please express your opinion of the Downtown Development Authority's debit of $500,000 to the state's One Georgia Authority.
Who would you like to speak first?
Mr. Phillips.
Okay. My opinion, please express my opinion. My opinion is that I feel that the board certainly has not given us, the citizen, and that's what I am, a citizen just like you and I, have given us any information regarding anything that indicates that the board was derelict in its duty by any means with respect to. I don't have enough information what happened previous years, was enough by with regards to where some of the monies were spent and how, because again, you look at the things, you know fully well, at least I know, a lot of the money was spent there, but no, I do not know and have not had a full accounting, if you will, because that happened many, many years ago, and I'm certain at that time the board accepted, and of course, as well as the attorney, and they had at that time an audit done on the books as well. That's my opinion.
Repeat your question.
Please express your opinion of the Downtown Ware County Development Authority's debt of $500,000 to the state's One Georgia Authority.
Okay. Based on, like I said, the information that I've obtained on my own, just trying to get a feel of what's going on. As I understand it, the One Georgia was a loan, or I guess a loan to the Downtown Development Authority in their procurement of trying to revitalize the Phoenix Hotel, which I think is a beautiful edifice over there and has a lot of potential. As Mr. Mayor Miller stated, you know, whether they were derelict in their duties or whether they didn't do anything right, I can't say that without really getting into the books and seeing what the audit reveals. And as I see it right now, I haven't heard where they had a bad audit or got any type of, I guess, merits, if you allow me to use that term, in their audit toward the fund that will be dispersed. So I think that, you know, as far as I know, they have a board, and that board reports, I guess, to the city, because the city funds the Downtown Development Authority a certain portion of their money. So anytime that you have a vested interest in a thing, I think you have a right. Not only do you have a right, you have a privilege to ask for the order to find out what's going on if you're, you know, putting money to the cause. And I don't think that anyone on that board should ever deny city commissioners or even citizens under the open information. I say, I want to know what's going on down here. Because if you don't have anything to hide, you shouldn't have any problem.
Okay, I think this is the last one, and I apologize. I don't understand what it's referring to because I'm not from here. Why is the referendum not discussed? And this is for both candidates. I don't know what referendum it is.
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
My name is Reverend Pharrell Malone. We have an election next week. We're talking to candidates, but we have not even discussed the referendum. That was my question.
So the referendum is dealing with alcohol. What? The referendum is dealing with alcohol, that's what we're talking
Right,
about.
yeah.
Okay, because there was a question earlier that did talk about that. So,
Okay,
do
but
we have any further questions on that? Because we did have a question about candidates answering on that.
That's all I have.
Okay, and if either candidate wishes to address that further in the closing remarks, they're certainly welcome. However, at this time, I will ask, and I believe I asked Mr. Phillips to open the statements